Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hart of New York show. Today, I have one of my most interesting guests on because we're going to talk about a situation right now that has become reality to many people out there, and that is homelessness, people losing their homes. I can't think of anything worse that a person can go through. And how can you help anything like that? How can you help them? What can you do? Well, the man I'm going to have on today is a godly man, Minister Steve Bringham. He's a godly man that has helped and is helping people that become homeless. He's an advocate for the homeless and founder of Destiny's Bridge, an organization whose mission statement reads, listen carefully, Destiny Bridge is to be a place where people who have found themselves without a home can heal, become strong, and empowered. Destiny's Bridge envisions being a community established for temporary housing and care for homeless adults. The primary objective will be to provide shelter, sustenance, and medical care with opportunities for rehabilitation and training and employment skills. Also, in 2013, the movie Destiny's Bridge was produced about Tent City. It's a Steve story documenting the legal battle between Lakewood Township, New Jersey, and 80 homeless people who were being evicted from living in the woods after 8 years. Imagine that. With the town closing in and an eviction on their doorstep, the homesteaders set out to create their own self-sustained tiny house community called Destiny's Bridge. Steve, welcome, brother.
Oh, thank you, Peter.
I'll tell you, he's a godly man. He's a professional man that got the calling, and it had to be a big calling, okay, to leave behind what he's been doing to become involved in a ministry like this. I'm impressed, brother.
Well, thank you, Peter.
I'm impressed. You're out there, you're helping people that their lives have become totally devastated, and you're there to help them. How did God put this in your heart, Minister?
Well, Peter, it was about 23 years ago. I was visiting a group of people in a boarding home, and there was a girl there that needed some food and things, and so a couple of the people from the church were visiting the boarding home, and somebody came up to me and he said, Minister Steve, I can't pay my next month's rent at the boarding home. Can you help me? So I thought for a moment, and I realized I couldn't continue to pay this person's rent on a monthly basis. And he was a young fellow in his 30s, and I said, his name was Steve, and I said, Steve, how about if I give you a tent, a sleeping bag, some camping gear, and I come out and visit you a couple times a week with food? But that's about all I can offer you right now. And this fellow, Steve, he said, I'll take it. I've got no other options. And so I supplied Steve with the camping gear, and I started to come out to visit him on a bi-weekly basis. After about a week, he said, Minister Steve, there's no jobs out here in this area. There's no pantries out here in this area. Can we relocate? So I relocated Steve to another location about 5 miles away. And at that location, there was other homeless people living in the woods. So Steve called me and said, Minister Steve, I found other people living in the woods. Can you help them? So I brought out food, I brought out sleeping bags, better tents than what they had already. And when I met with these people, they said, Minister Steve, we know of other people living in the woods. Can you help them also? Mm-hmm. So what happened was I was working at that point for a high voltage electrical contractor doing Port Authority work, working in the tunnels, working in the bridges, working on the bridges, and coming home at night and going out to help out the homeless. And so, the mission or the calling, found me. That's how it found me.
It's fascinating, fascinating. Now, what makes your organization different from other homeless nonprofits?
Well, we like to think we take a very personal interest in the people that come to us for help. We supply, every aspect of their living needs. All of their needs are taken care of. And again, it's a spiritual-based program, and so we, relate to them on a spiritual level. Christ being the supplier of all of our needs, and we incorporate that into our program, and it makes the people feel comfortable. Everybody has dignity. It's not just a program, a starchy program, but it's very fluid, it's very dynamic, and it really meets the emotional and physical needs of the people.
And you're telling them about Jesus.
Yeah, well, Jesus, of course, himself on a daily basis was there meeting the physical needs of the people. And, it's showing, God's love in a real, intangible way every day. God
You
is
ain't
love,
kidding.
and just showing love emanates, and people see it. People see that you're coming from a basis of Christ when you show true love and compassion toward people.
It truly is amazing how people can see it and sense it. And they don't even know what they're sensing, but they know it's good. They
Right.
feel.
It's a
How
spiritual thing.
does your relationship with Jesus inspire you in your ministry?
Well, Jesus, is our model. He's the icon of perfection, and so just emanating his behavior. You read the Gospels, and Jesus is showing compassion to anybody who comes to him, healing them, encouraging them, lifting them up. Emotionally, he's just, Christ is the most beautiful person, without a doubt, in the history of the world, Son of God. And so just copying and emanating Jesus' behavior is showing his, love and compassion.
That's very, very important. Now, when you mentioned about tent city and camping and all that, how did that start? What did you look for, like an area, like an empty lot? Or, I mean, people will want to know, wait a minute, all right, I hear about you're building this and you're helping the homeless people, but to paint the picture for them out there, what do you look for? Like, you go into into the forest or anything like that?
Well, we're in central Jersey,
Okay.
about the middle of New Jersey, going north to south, and there's a lot of woods down there, and of course, a lot of people own property down there, but there's a lot of what we call public property, which belongs to the people. The government oversees it, but it belongs to the people.
Like a park?
Park, or there's a lot of woods that
Okay.
are, set aside for different, nature reasons, but they belong to the people. It's public property. So that's the type of property we look for, and we set up tents that are, they're considered 10-person tents. 10 people couldn't sleep in there, but we give it to one person.
You get 10 people can fit in, but each get their own tent.
Each get their own 10-person tent.
It's like a tiny home.
It's like a tiny home. It's like a big room, and it gives them. People say, "Hey, this is bigger than the apartment that I came from."
Right,
So,
sure.
and so in that they have a heater, they have a stove that they can cook with, and they have a little bed that they use, and they can decorate it the way they want, and it's beautiful. And this.
How about water, running water and all?
Yeah, well, right now we bring in our water. In Tent City and Lakewood, we had a well there, but in this camps that we have now, we bring in the water. There's a local church that allows me to fill up blue containers in fact, this morning I did that. I loaded them all up in my pickup truck and filled them all up at a local church, and then brought it out to the camp. And so I do that every so often, and then again, the propane needs to be filled up for the heaters, and I go out and I go to a place that sells propane for a good price, and I fill them up, and supply all the basic needs. And one of the big things is community.
Right.
The homeless, they really become a cohesive group. And, there's a lot of camaraderie in the camp. And so, people are really, they really have like a little community there.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. What have you learned from the homeless people you minister to? What is it? Has it taught you anything?
Their simple faith is something, that we've got to emulate as in our relationship with God and Christ. Is that simple childlike faith. You just trust somebody to take care of you, and that's what Christ does for us. He says you must become as a little child, or you won't enter the kingdom.
Now, you're nonprofit, so you rely on donations,
Yes.
okay? And we're going to put that up there, okay, because this is something that if you feel led to, by all means, you must help people like this, that help people that are totally devastated. But not only that, he's going above and beyond, okay? He's telling them more and teaching them more as being a minister about the love and forgiveness and the power of Jesus, how he can get you through anything. And as far as I'm concerned, that's other than getting a death sentence from a doctor or a hospital, being homeless and losing everything you got, that's got to be the epitome of someone that says, I just can't take it anymore. You come across cases like that where people
Yeah.
just don't want to live anymore. What do you do? What do you say to them then?
Well, I get a lot of phone calls. I get a lot of phone calls with people. You could hear it in their voice. They're extremely distressed about their situation, losing their home, losing their families or whatever. And so they're extremely distressed. And so the first thing that I focus on is trying to make them comfortable and easing their concerns. I'm saying, if this is, you have no other hope, no other options, we'll make sure that you're comfortable. We'll make sure that you have enough food. We'll make sure that you're warm. We'll make sure that all your basic needs are met. And that relieves a lot of their concerns. I know they're losing a lot of their material, items that they've, had in their lifetime, that they've gathered. But when it comes down to it, we really don't need a whole lot of material things, But what they do get in exchange when they come down to this camp is they get camaraderie of the other people that are there. They have friendships that they build. They're all working together, and so they're also gaining something when they do come down into this community. They're not isolated in a certain hotel room all by themselves, or they've got some of those emotional support networks that they need.
So, I mean, as far as I hear, that you help them from A to Z, even in physical problems that they need, medications or anything like that.
Yeah, if they have medication, there's just some people do have some type of government assistance, Medicaid or Medicare. Some people have that, some people don't, and we help them out with their basic needs of.
And who provides the food? Do you
Well,
have like supermarkets that want to donate to you also?
Yeah, yes. Sometimes it's, supermarkets, sometimes it's food. Produce stands in the summertime will give us their excess produce. And, it comes from all over. The people of the community, they'll call me up, and I have drop-off locations in the area. There's 10 drop-off locations, and people will come and they, know from Facebook where to drop these items off.
Wow.
So then I go around during a week and I pick up from these drop-off locations, clothing, food items, camping items, all types of items that are coming from the community. So the community has a way to give. And people need that, especially in our affluent society. People are looking for a way to show their faith in a tangible way, and they're looking for a way to give. So, this gives them an opportunity, and they know it's going to go to somebody right in their community. It's going to be local.
That's wonderful. And we're gonna put the information up on the screen where you can be a part of this. You can be a part of this amazing organization. What's the status now? What happened to some of the people that were in the movie? What happens to them?
Yeah, well, right now, the township, there's usually some conflict with the township in that, not that anybody did anything wrong in the camps. They're acting and behaving as well as possible, and it's a very good community. Like I say, there's been no reason, the police have never been called or anything like that, but it doesn't look good for the politicians. It doesn't look good for the township that they have homeless, in Ocean County. It's a resort type of county.
How do you deal with that?
Well, again, a lot of it's, God dealing with it, and we've had a lawyer who has stepped up on our behalf, and the township came in to kick them out. They were going to offer them 3 weeks in a hotel and then kick them out to the street. So I called, a lawyer that's a friend of mine that's helped us out in the past, and he stepped up and he told the township, these are American citizens. They have rights. You just can't kick them out to the street without any help. And so that's exactly what he did. He called them up and said, you can't do that. These people are on public property. They've got a right to be there, a constitutional right to be there if they have no place to go. These are American citizens and they have rights.
And not like we hear on the news what happens in LA or San Francisco and all that. Here, you're not dealing with needles on the ground. You're not dealing with drunks with empty booze bottles. You're not dealing with drugs being passed around. You said earlier no police was ever called to them. So they're doing what they can to get through this trying thing without disturbing the community, okay, or hurting themselves or anybody around, or stealing or anything.
Right, and it's a beautiful example because, the people in the camps, the residents of the camps are, they see the concern that we're showing through Destiny's Bridge, and they are, showing back the respect that is, required of any community, any society. And so they get along, they work together, they cook for each other, and it's a beautiful community. It really is. And there's no tax dollars involved in this. It's all, charitable contributions from
No
the
government
community.
funding.
No government money in
Nothing.
this all.
And now-
There's no government money here. And there's never been any government in the 23
You
years that I've been doing it.
completely rely on Jesus himself.
Yeah, and the donations and the contributions of the local community and society.
You see, to me, that's incredible, okay, that this man has started something here that has helped and benefited so many people, and because it's a way of him showing the love and the caring and the strength of our Lord Jesus. And let me tell you something, if you're suffering out there, or you're coming across anything, okay, that seems like the end of the world, you can rely on one person, Jesus. This is what he does. He's not relying on the government funding. He's doing it from donations and people helping with clothes, right? With food, with all kinds of things. This is a wonderful thing. This is a miraculous thing. This shows you the power of God working. It's absolutely incredible that the calling that this guy has, I admire it. That's why I wanted him to come on to do it. Now, on the other hand, for people out there that are sitting back that are financially stable, have everything in the world over in abundance, help these people. Help them. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. I guarantee you, when you give, a certain thing happens, and it's a beautiful thing, especially when you give into a ministry and a calling like this that helps people really, that are out, down and out. But then you see the miracle-working power of God come up. I think I'm being correct on saying this.
You're 100% right. You know, it's, again, I'm doing this 23 years, and I see the hand of God on a regular basis. I mean, I go out there, and just the other day, there was a fellow who was going out to work. Some of these fellows work. He worked a 40-hour job, was walking out of the camp, and this was the first time he was walking out. Usually I had been shuttling him back and forth, and I said, you know, there's other things I've got to do, so if you can find your way out, you know, that would be helpful. And so what happened is he was walking out for the first time, and he made the wrong turn. And he walked into the woods, and he walked into the swamps in that area.
Wow.
Deep into the swamps, and he was lost. He only had enough power on his phone to text, "I'm lost in the woods." That was the only text. I tried to call him. As soon as I saw the text, it went right to voicemail. Wow. This man was lost in the woods. The cold weather was coming. He only had 3 days to live because when you run out of water, and of course hypothermia would set in, we only had 3 days to find him. And I sent out the word, and the police and the fire department came the first day. They couldn't find him. I sent out the word on Facebook the next day to my friends on Facebook. About 25 people came out to look, and they scoured the park near where the camp was at. Nobody could find him. We had drones coming, and we had a fellow that had dogs coming.
Wow.
And we looked, and first night I got home at 3 o'clock in the morning, slept for about 3 hours, got up, went back looking for the fellow. Second day, looked all day, and finished at about 1 o'clock. I said, there's one last place I want to look for this fellow. And I was, of course, praying all the time. And I took this little path back into the woods, and we started down into the swamps, and calling his name. His name was Bill. And I called his name, and I just heard something faintly. I said, I think I heard something, you know. I wasn't sure if it was just, you know, my mind playing tricks on me. I walked a little bit further, and there was a fellow who'd come all the way down from Bayonne who was working with me. And we were calling out his name, and we would stop and be quiet. And I said, you know what, I think I heard something. We walked a little bit further, and by the third time, I says, I heard something. That's Bill. And we
Wow.
walked further. I walked up sunk up to my knees in mud in the swamps, getting to this fellow. This man would have never got out alive if we didn't find him.
Oh.
He never would have survived. And, you know, but we had people praying for him. You know, we sent out the word. We had a prayer circle there in the park. Without a shadow of a doubt, you know, it was the hand of God that helped us find him.
No
1
question.
o'clock in the morning is when we found him.
No question whatsoever. And like you said, you see the manifestation of God on a daily basis there. You know, looking ahead, has he put anything else in your heart? How about a building? How about like a dormitory? How about like maybe someone has a motel that they want to give us? Is that come across your heart?
Yeah, and it very much so. And of course, doing this 23 years, you think about this a lot.
Right.
You know, you think, what is the best situation for, you
Yeah.
know, the people that we're taking care of? And I've come to the conclusion, you know, in America, everybody deserves their own little place.
Right.
We can do that in America. We've got a lot of space here in America, and we've got a lot of money in America. Everybody can have a little tiny home. Abraham Lincoln grew up in a little tiny home, and look
Right.
what he became.
Right.
Great man of God. And so everybody can have a little tiny home. It has running water, it has electricity, it has a place where they can sleep, maybe a loft where they can store their
Right.
possessions. but they have a place that they can call their own. Every American
And
needs
by
that.
tiny home, you mean somewhere from 400 square feet? Those
Yeah,
tiny
yeah,
homes.
yeah.
You start to see them on TV, too.
Exactly, yeah, start at maybe, 300 square foot, 500 square foot, 700 square foot. And again, you could charge them a certain amount of rent. And this
Right.
way, that they go out and they feel that self-esteem that comes from.
Having your own home.
Having your own and earning your own home.
So what you need is, that you need a place where you can establish this.
Exactly. And of course, not just a place to establish it, but you need the political people
Okay.
behind you
Right.
saying that we'll make this work. Because they can squash anything. These politicians, can squash any project you put out there.
I'm a firm believer we've got all things are possible. I've seen miracles happen. I've heard of miracles happen where there's, whether it was the zoning or they're never going to allow a church in that area, and it was all political, and they had to go to the office, and you got to go before the Lord, and you say, well, what should I do? And in one instance, with one particular minister, the minister says, you go into the politician's office and you read this verse. And that's all, that was the only instructions. The next day, he got it. He got it. And the church serves millions worldwide because of that. So we understand, but we also understand with God all things are possible. Listen, we have a minute left. Can you tell someone out there that's suffering that there's hope?
Without a doubt, I've seen it time and time again. Of course, the Lord is the creator and the sustainer of the world. And, if we go to him, and we can go to him on a personal level, that's the beauty of, knowing a personal God. And we can ask for him for help, and he will, direct our steps. He promised he would. If we go to him in faith and ask in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, he will, without a shadow of a doubt, meet your needs, and he will address, your concerns, and he will direct you. But all he asks for is that simple, childlike faith.
That's it.
Just believe.
That's it.
And he will direct you.
That's it. When you don't have anything else, believe, and God will get you through it. Thank you so much for watching. We're on in all 5 boroughs. God bless you all. See you next time.